Good evening, and I would like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to start you off with a quote from Sidney J. Harris that says, "The two words, information and communication, are often used interchangeably, but they signify quite different things. Information is giving out, and communication is getting through." The purpose of my speech today is to show you how cracking the Enigma Machine helped lead to an Allied victory in the Second World War. I would like to cover three main topics. 1. How Germany developed and used the Enigma Machine. 2. How the Allies cracked the Enigma code. And 3. How cracking the code led the Allies to victory. The first point I would like to cover is how Germany developed and used the Enigma Machine. The machine was developed by Germany for use during the Second World War. German engineer Arthur Scherbius was the first person to develop a type of Enigma machine in the year 1918. Scherbius designed the unit to sell commercially rather than militarily, but the original Enigma was tested and redesigned many times before the infamous World War II device was created by the German Navy before the start of the war. The new device used 4 coding rotors instead of the traditional 3 rotors, and it had a set of 5 spare rotors that came with it to be swapped in for more encoding possibilities. Field agents in the German army would use the Enigma machine to encrypt and decrypt messages sent across Europe during the war. This encryption made sure that if Allied forces intercepted a message, then it would be completely useless to them. The machine worked like a typewriter, but instead of printing the letter that was typed, the rotors would change after each key press, thus creating a polyalphabetic cipher that could be changed after each use. This extra level of encryption made it incredibly difficult for the Allies to crack it. The second main topic I would like to cover is how the Allies ended up cracking the code. Finally, the Allies had a major breakthrough in 1941 when British intelligence officers officially beat the Enigma code. The Allied forces had actually broken many encoded messages on the Western Front by this point, but on July 9, 1941, British cryptologists working at Bletchley Park were able to decipher the way the machine worked. Mathematician Alan Turing, along with his colleague Gordon Welchman, played a major role in creating a deciphering machine known as the bomb. Using methods developed by Polish mathematicians, the British intelligence officers were able to decode instructions that were used by the Germans to conduct air-to-ground operations on the Eastern Front. The Germans, however, caught wind of this and began changing the cipher on a daily basis. The Allies eventually learned that the messages sent out each day used a password to encrypt them, and once this password was discovered, it could be used to decrypt any messages that were sent out by the Germans that day. This discovery led to the Allied forces being able to decrypt messages they intercepted from the Germans by using the bomb machine. The bomb machine assisted Allied code breakers in the code breaking process and allowed them to break multiple codes each day because of its automation capabilities. The third main topic I would like to cover is how the Enigma machine helped win the war. Now that the Allied forces could regularly break the Enigma code, they could effectively weaponize it back against the Germans. Once the Allied powers had deciphered the Enigma machine, it was important for them to keep it a secret. The Germans' confidence in the machine is what eventually led to their quick downfall. The Germans continued to encrypt and distribute many numerous messages with the machine and never even thought to abandon it because they believed it to be an unbreakable code. Information that the Allied forces obtained from the decrypted material was codenamed Ultra because the information, if it had leaked its way back to the Germans, then the German army might change the way they encrypt things. Information that garnered the name Ultra was considered even more valuable than what was labeled Most Secret, which was the previous highest level of secrecy used in the Allied military. The Allies would even let some of their naval ships come under attack from the Germans without warning to keep the Germans thinking they had the element of surprise. Ultimately, the work conducted at Bletchley Park helped bring the Second World War to a swift conclusion, and eventually the cryptographers were recognized for their efforts. It took more than a decade for Turing and the rest of the Bletchley Park crew to receive full recognition for their work because of the high level of secrecy used during the war. So, now you can see how important encryption can be when communicating information. Now that you understand just how important the Enigma Machine was to helping the Allies turn the tides in the Second World War, just remember the three main topics. 1. How Germany developed and used the Enigma Machine. 2. How the Allies cracked the Enigma code. And 3. How cracking the code eventually led the Allies to victory. Finally, always remember this quote from Nat Turner. Good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. Thank you.